morning and welcome to episode 20 of Netherwood TV on Monday 17th of May. I'm Mollie.
And I'm James, and we're both senior prefects.
In today's episode we will be hearing from Miss Flaherty, who has an important message for everyone.
We will also see what some of our students have been cooking this week,
as well as hearing some general school news and reminders.
Last week we heard from Miss Kershaw, who shared the story of Harry Potter.
This week we are hearing from Miss Muffet with a story about the myth of Medusa.
Good morning everyone, my name is Mrs Muffet if you don't know me, and I'm here today to tell you about the Greek myth and the character of Medusa. Now there are two stories of Medusa. You've probably heard of the character Medusa because it's a character that's often portrayed in film as well as other stories. Now I'll tell you the first version of Medusa. So she was a female character that was renowned for her beauty. She was very, very beautiful, and she worked in the Parthenon, and she worked for the goddess Athena. And the Parthenon was a tribute to Athena, so it was this beautiful, great, big, ornate palace with many, many statues of Athena. And Medusa was supposed to be really, really vain. She thought she was beautiful. She would walk past mirrors and she would stare at them for hours and hours on end. And when she went to work in the Parthenon, she was looking around at the statues of Athena, and she decided that she was more beautiful than Athena herself. And she said this out loud. And on hearing this, Athena cursed her. She came down and she changed Medusa's looks forever. So she gave her a hideous face. She became a Gorgon. There were three of them, but Medusa was the only one that was mortal, which means that she could have been killed. And she put snakes in her hair, and her face was so hideous and she was so ugly that if anyone looked at her, they would be turned to stone. They would be completely petrified. So she was sent to an island called Sarpedon, where she spent the rest of her days. And this was a very isolated island, and it was really horrible and grim inside, and she lived in a cave. Many, many men went to try and fight and kill Medusa, because it was told that if they managed to kill her and cut off her head, then they could hold up her head and use those for the same powers, so they could petrify people and turn them into stone. So many men went to this island and tried killing Medusa, but one look from her would turn them to stone. So soon her lair became covered in many, many statues of people that had been petrified, that had been turned to stone. Zeus was really angry about this, so he sent his favourite son, who was somebody called Perseus. You may well have heard of him. And Perseus was mortal, which means he could have been killed as well. So they armed Perseus with many special weapons, and one of these was a shield from Athena herself. And the shield was said to be mirrored, so you could see your reflection in the shield. And Perseus went to Sarpedon and went to fight Medusa. And when he came across her, she turned to look at him, and he held up his shield and reflected her own reflection, and she turned herself into stone. At which point he cut off her head, and he placed her head in a sack, because obviously if he looked at it, even though she was dead, he would be turned to stone. She was pregnant, and he cut open her stomach. It's quite horrible, this bit. And out of her stomach came two children. And one of those children was the winged horse that's known as Pegasus. So Perseus was successful in that he killed Medusa, and he returned with the head. Athena took the head and then had it emblazoned on her own shield. And that's kind of the first version of Medusa. So the moral of the story is that she is a woman who was vain, and because she was vain and because she only cared about herself, she was punished in a horrific way and eventually killed. Now there is another version, which is the one that not many people know, and it's one that's a bit more unpleasant. Medusa was very beautiful, but Athena was very, very jealous of her beauty. And Medusa was taken away by the sea god Poseidon, and Poseidon took her against her will, so she had no idea what he was going to do. And he took her away. And when Athena found out about this, that's when she gave her the curse and turned her into the Gorgon with the snake's head. So actually, in reality, in terms of the myth, it wasn't Medusa's fault at all. And I think sometimes in literature, and certainly in legends and myths, female characters are often vilified. So we hear one version of events, but the true story of Medusa is that she was an innocent woman and that she wasn't vain at all. Thank you very much.
On screen now you can see some more recommendations of books based around myths, magic and mayhem.
Reading is a great way to help you relax and relieve yourself of any stress you may have. And reading before you go to bed can help you to have a good night's sleep.
So try to read one of the recommended books during National Share a Story Month.
Miss Allen is extremely pleased with Epony in Year 9, who has been baking some beautiful butterfly buns and flapjack this week.
Remember to keep sending your photos to Miss Allen when you do some baking or cooking at home.
Last week was Mental Health Awareness Week, and in last week's episode we heard how getting out and enjoying nature can help to improve our mental health and well-being.
Today we are hearing from Miss Flaherty, who has more information on her mental health and well-being.
Hi everybody, so I'm Mrs Flaherty and my responsibilities in school is to make sure that everybody's safeguarded and that their well-being is looked after. So we're in May and this is the mental health month for this year. A lot of people ask what mental health is and get a bit scared by it. Basically, everyone has mental health and it only becomes a problem when it becomes out of balance. So mental health and emotions vary on a day-to-day, hour-by-hour basis, and they're a normal response to things that happen to us in everyday life. So it makes us happy, they can make us angry, worried, sad. All of these emotions and many, many more are all perfectly normal. Usually when we feel out of sorts, we know why, we know what the reason is, but there are days when we just haven't got a clue. We just know that we don't feel as we want to feel, and that's fine too. And there's nothing wrong with asking for help and saying, I don't know why I feel this way today, but I do. And then talking to people can actually help. So top tips to keep our mental health positive. Talk to people, whether that be parents, your friends, brothers and sisters, other family members, or even staff in school. It's good to talk to people. It keeps us connected and it helps us keep things in perspective. Have good routines, so sleep routines, coming into school, meeting people, exercise, meal times, having a balanced, healthy diet. All of these things help us keep a healthy body and a healthy mind. Don't compare yourself to other people. This is really difficult in this day and age because you all spend so much time online and you compare yourself. And don't do that. Real life doesn't have filters unlike Instagram. We just have to sometimes accept we are who we are and deal with it. Digital detox is another good one. Ideally have some period of time, days, weeks, months, whatever, where you're not online. Research shows that really helps with our mental health. But I know that a lot of people spend an awful lot of time online, and online activity does have positives as well. I mean, this is how most of us have kept in touch with people through the lockdowns. But try and reduce your time online, certainly at the end of the day, to have an hour off of being online activity before we go to bed. It can become addictive being online, and as I said before, it stops real life events happening, real life friendships, and you compare yourself to other people. Find something positive in every day, no matter how small it is. At the end of the day, think of something good that's happened that day and keep those in mind and remind yourself of them when you are feeling a bit bleh. Just keep thinking of the positive events. Get yourselves outdoors, whether that's to meet up with friends, go for a walk, take your dog, rabbit, cat, llama, whatever you've got for a walk. Get yourselves outdoors in the fresh air. It's shown that being in nature does help with our mental health and emotions. Caring for other people, as well as helping them, gives you a boost of those feel-good chemicals in your brain, and that makes us feel better as well. Do something you're good at, so whether that be a sporting activity, drawing, music, whatever. Keep doing those things that you're good at because that will boost your self-esteem and again boost those feel-good chemicals. And it also stops you worrying about other things. With regards to worry, don't waste time and energy dwelling on things that you can't change. We can't turn the clocks back. We're not Harry Potter. We've no idea what's coming in the future. We can't predict that. So learn from the past, live for today and hope for tomorrow. And lastly, laugh. Whether that be on your own, watching TV, being with your friends, listening to something online, any of those things, reading a funny book, laughter releases those feel-good chemicals as well and makes everything feel better. There's lots of support out there for yourselves, both with your families and in school. Our school website, we've got links on there to lots of other things, apps, websites, phone lines where you can get support. There's your year teams, your form tutors, your class teachers, Miss Kirk and myself. Any member of staff in school you can approach if you are struggling. And remember that there's lunchtime drop-in every day down in C003. For those of you like me who are new to the school and maybe don't know your way around yet, that's near the big unicorn. And Miss Kirk runs a lunchtime drop-in every day in your lunchtime where you can go down and book in for a meeting or just to have a natter with her. So remember those things, get yourself out there, have a laugh, release those feel-good endorphins and come and talk to us if you do need that support.
We have a new feature on Netherwood TV this week, which is Walker's Weekly, where we will hear a thought of the week from Mr. Walker.
Let's head over to him now to see what this week's thought is.
Good morning, Netherwood, and this week's thought of the week is from a Chinese philosopher called Confucius, who lived around 500 before Christ, and he said, "Never do to others what you would not like them to do to you." Now, it basically means be nice to people. And it's the golden rule, actually, of all the main world religions. If you take back all the differences between them, there's not actually that much difference between them. And in the Bible, Christianity, it was in the book Leviticus, and the quote was, "Do unto the man as he would do unto you," which was also part of Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. So quite an important one, quite a very simple message, but quite an important one for you to think about this week. Be nice to people and treat people how you would expect to be treated. Thank you very much.
Now on to some general school news and reminders.
This week is week A, so remember to check your timetable carefully.
Remember that mobile phones are not allowed out in the school at all. It will be confiscated and a C4 will be issued if you are seen using your phone in the school building.
Remember, if it is seen in use, we don't want an excuse.
It results in confiscation, so you can focus on your education.
Thank you for watching Netherwood TV. We will see you next week for the next episode.